Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get Out of Rap. Making his second appearance, and this time the first one on camera, is John Devlin from Ascensos. Hi, John. Thanks very much for coming back on.
No, hi, Martin. Absolute pleasure. There you go, just to prove
Yes,
I've been on before.
Yes, and we spoke at the expo. It's good to be back to face again, wasn't it? And said we've definitely got to do another one of these. So I appreciate you giving up your time because you've been jetting all over the world, it seems.
Yeah, when was that we met in London in November? God,
yeah.
It seems only yesterday that we're almost 3 months into that already. Isn't it amazing that it's February already? And yeah, things are looking up in the world, I think. I don't know anyone else's opinion, but it feels as if everything's a bit more positive as we face into the spring, and the year ahead looks pretty bright all round. Yeah, and even getting some foreign travel in, Martin. So just come back from visiting our operations in Cape Town last week. First time we've been able to get out there since we opened there last year. And long may it continue that we get the opportunity to travel and meet some of our colleagues in some of the other territories we now operate in.
You guys have always got such a team spirit. How was it going to see Cape Town in person for the first time, and how do you kind of replicate that that esprit de corps that you guys always seem to have?
Yeah, you know what? You get out there and it's just there, and you kind of think, well, how is that? How has that just magically happened that they seem to have already adopted the same approach, same style, the same culture as our long tenured colleagues have? But yeah, they just seem to get it, and as soon as I arrived there, it was the most warm welcome, lovely people, just right on brand and right on message with the A-team spirit we like to create in the business. And they just love it, even though I've not met them in person. I'd met them, all the guys there several times, obviously over Teams and Zoom, etc. But they've done so much homework and so much research into who we are and how we operate and what the secret sauce is of our business. And they just get it. It felt like walking into one of our long-established operations for the very first time. It was wonderful.
And how long were you there?
Well, I wish I'd stayed longer. It was a schoolboy error. I went out on Monday and had to fly back Friday overnight. I just wish I'd stayed at the weekend and just had time maybe to see more of what Cape Town and what the area and the Western Cape has to offer. But I'll get back there. But yeah, I had some pressing stuff to get back to in the UK. And just when I got back into the UK after a faultless visit, I was delayed at Heathrow making my connection to Edinburgh because there was some storms in Scotland on Saturday morning. So that was a bit of a pain. After 4 or 5 days, it was almost kind of flawless.
Yeah, so close.
Just typical, isn't it? You get back into the UK and things grind to a bit of a halt.
Welcome home.
Exactly, that's how it felt. And you might not even get home today. That was the message.
So how? Because this, as well as Cape Town, you also went to somewhere very close to my heart, and you have a venture in Turkey now as well.
Yeah, we've got again mid-pandemic, but a year earlier, in the summer of 2020, we opened up in Istanbul, Martin, with our first operations there. Albeit we have the office in Istanbul. Most of the team are working from home and have been since day one. And we've now expanded into Antalya as well. It's another 300-seat operation in Antalya. So we've now got 2 hubs in Turkey, going really, really well. Again, a wonderful country. I know you've spent some time there. I was last out there in September of 2019, and not been able to set foot in the country since. So again, it's very weird. We've got over 300 colleagues in Turkey at the moment. I've not been able to get out and shake anyone by the hand or sit with a coffee with anyone over that period. So just really odd circumstance. But we move up ahead regardless, and it's a great thing about Ascensos is we've got a relentless ambition, a relentless energy, and we don't let things like the pandemic get in the way.
Well, I want to ask you so much about Turkey, but firstly, what for the sort of global BPO market and the decisions to set up locations, what's the main driver and the thinking behind that?
Well, for us, we're looking for more delivery flexibility on a global basis, so we can serve global brands, and be more accessible for those global brands, regardless of where they're based. So even though we're now in UK, Eastern Europe, and South Africa, we won't stop there. We've got an ambition to really serve on a global basis. We're never going to compete with the big tier one providers, for sure, and we've no intention of competing in that space. We swim in our own lane, and we're pretty comfortable with that. But we do need to have the capability, and the reach that some of those global players have. We use the phrase "born local, growing global," and that very much kind of sums up Ascensos. That we'll never lose the DNA and the heart of being a Scottish business, but we're taking that model out into a kind of global reach now. Obviously, we can access different talents and different skills in different areas of the world. We use Turkey extensively to access German language capability, and it serves the German market very well from Turkey. And obviously now with us being in Cape Town, that serves the English-speaking markets very well from a price point and a scale perspective. And bear in mind, in the UK in the last year or so, there has been some pressures on the labour market. I think we've all seen that, we've all recognised that, and had to respond to that in different ways. And we've used our nearshore and offshore operations in order we can still meet the demand of our clients and scale up and grow the business despite of some of the constraints that were here in the local UK market.
Does it energize you though, even though you're saying you stay in your lane and tier one? Do you still think, right, well, we can't match them on this, but we're going to be creative here, or we're going to try and steal a march doing something different? Is it a motivational factor?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a pretty competitive person, and I like the champion challenger approach, and I like the David versus Goliath. It's always been in my DNA anyway, and personally, that gives me some motivation, for us to kick on again and ensure that we don't allow the big guys to have it all their own way. And we're a reasonably sized business now. We're no longer a small an SME. We're a reasonably sized business, but we'll never be in that airport hangar or factory scale, industrial scale, one size fits all approach that some of the larger scale BPOs have. We'll always remain independent. We'll always have that agility, that flexibility that an independent owner-managed business can bring. And it keeps me grounded and keeps the leadership team in our business grounded, that we are still very much hands-on, in contact and connected with the guys who make the money for the business and deliver the service for our clients, the guys at the front end.
When you interact with, so you're in Turkey, I've got to ask, did you have Turkish coffee or Turkish tea?
Coffee, yeah.
Okay. And the small ones, you could literally put the stick up.
I mean, I like coffee, but I can't drink coffee after midday. Otherwise, I'm up all night, And I realised this about 10 years ago, that I used to get palpitations in the evening and I wouldn't sleep very well. And I always wondered what it was. Was it me getting older? Was it the pressures of work? It was coffee.
Yeah.
it was coffee. And on a trip with Ralph Lauren out to Italy once, I drank far too many espressos, right through to midnight, and I actually thought I was going to have to go to A&E, and it was coffee that was causing it. So now I've scaled back massively. I still have a few coffees in the morning, but cannot drink coffee any later than lunchtime. And in Turkey, it's probably one coffee was my quota for the day. They were so strong.
I love them so much. Mine is always espresso. So getting out to Turkey, and Turk Kahve Sade, if I remember some of my Turkish, is the one without sugar. And they showed me how to make it. And every meeting you were offered it. And like you, I went back to my accommodation in the evening, and yeah, like I thought there's something in my heart. They've got a problem with my heart. And the next day, after a horrible night, I was talking to some of the Turkish friends that I'd made, and they were saying, "Wait a minute, how many coffees did you have yesterday?" And I'd had about 7, and they were saying, "Well." No wonder you thought you were going to end up in hospital. You can't drink that much. So, yeah, lesson learned. But
yeah, no, I mean, it was my first trip to Turkey. Actually, I hadn't even been in Turkey on holiday. I know a lot of Brits go out to Turkey on holiday, but I'd never done that. And straight into Istanbul, and all this kind of perception of Midnight Express and all that good stuff. And it couldn't have been further from the truth. It was such an amazing city. Such a a brilliant city with a bit like London, lots of small communities and small villages throughout the city. And no matter where you go, you get a different perspective on Istanbul life and Turkish life. I just fell in love with it instantly, and I can't wait to go back.
Well, it was my home for 2.5 years, Istanbul, and
Oh, you'll know much better than I will then. Yeah.
Well, weirdly, so I was out there initially only on a 3-month. It was meant to be 3 months, and I ended up staying for 2.5 years. But Istanbul, I absolutely loved it. But I still, even though the weekends were my own, and I would just go and discover, in that time, you still didn't, I think, go to 50% of it. It was like you say, it's just such a myriad of places. It is amazing. But it got to the point where, so I was working for an American company, and people would often come over, and they kind of knew I was the Englishman there. And I became some like unofficial tour guide. It became accepted that they would stay at the weekend, and one of the days I would take them and see the sights. But it got to the point where towards the end of my stay there, I'd done it so many times. I was like, yeah, that's the Galata Tower. Well, when was it built? Oh, just 17th century. I was the most uninterested tour guide ever.
I can imagine, if you stay there for a length of time, you actually just become immersed in it, it's so absorbing. Our office is actually just across the Bosphorus, so we're on the Asian side, and I always like to say that we're in 3 continents now: Europe, Asia, and Africa.
Great. You can, you're absolutely
officially it is. Officially it is, albeit it still feels very European, when you're in the city itself. Certainly Antalya, is very much east, and very much part of that next phase of our development, and accesses a different type of talent there. A lot of people go to Antalya for the Mediterranean lifestyle it brings, and the warm weather in the winter as well. And we've got a lot of Northern European employees there, Scandinavian, Dutch employees who have chosen to go and live in Antalya, and then they work with us, as some income, to support their hobby or their life out in that area. So it works really, really well.
Do you think that kind of way of working lends itself to being a top performer in a contact center? Maybe it's part-time, maybe it's something that you do to support other side hustles or your lifestyle.
I think so, yeah, because we always look for brand ambassadors or fans of brands, to work with us, So, the guys who choose to join us aren't really joining us, just for the means to the end, for the income. They're joining us because of the brands that we represent, and because the work-life balance it allows them to access at that point. So it means they are a little bit more connected to the brand, connected to the business, dare I say, a bit more loyal and more engaged, in terms of the job that they are delivering. And that's exactly what we've seen in terms of employee metrics and KPIs, is that the guys there don't have the level of churn, etc. you might expect to see in a conventional, typical contact centre. It really supports our Ascensos local model that we launched last year as well, which is smaller contact centre hubs that act as recruitment centres, onboarding centres, collaboration centres, and and also a drop-in hub that you can work in the office on a hybrid basis if that's what you choose to do. But predominantly you'll be working from home around the hub. So we don't need 1,000 seats. Most of the guys are working from home, but they do have the choice to check into the office, meet their manager, meet their team there once a week. And it also allows the local community to connect with the Ascensos brand there. Whereas if you were on a pure play work from home basis, your employees could be 100 kilometers, 500 kilometers from the nearest office. We don't think that works because we want the engagement with our team, and the Ascensos business. So the Ascensos local model was to put these city centre, town centre hubs in locations we typically wouldn't be in, and that works really, really well.
Sounds fascinating. Is it like so you've created your own version of like a WeWork type location, or?
Well, hopefully we won't lose as much money as those guys do.
There's one that I use that's local called Desk Lodge, but I just thought the WeWork was the one that came to mind.
We started it in Scotland last summer. Again, it was a way for us to take Ascensos out to maybe underserved peripheral locations in the UK. We set up 2 locations in the south and west of Scotland, in Stranraer and in Dumfries, and small offices in the town centre, but right in the heart of the centre, that the community can see that we are an employer in town, not just someone who's recruiting remotely through Indeed or on Facebook, etc. And it means that the town feels connected to us, and we are investing in the town, not just employing in the town, but we're actually investing back into the hub of the town, the lifeblood of the town. So it worked really well, and we've extended that now into Northern Ireland. We just announced, our plans to launch in Northern Ireland. We've identified a location just outside of Belfast in Lisburn, and we're going to roll out our presence in Northern Ireland on a 3-hub basis, and hopefully over the next 3 years create up to 500 or 600 jobs, predominantly working from home, but across the Northern Ireland region.
You've got so much going on. How has the market changed for you then during the pandemic?
Well, obviously we serve the retail space and the consumer space. A lot of retailers had to pivot really quickly towards e-commerce, and online. Obviously, most of them were doing that anyway, but as stores closed or stores were limited in what they could do, more and more of the sales and more of their trading had to move online. We were in a great place, obviously to support that. That's primarily what Ascensos have set up to do, is to serve the online activity of retailers and consumer-facing organisations. And we also had the benefit, Martin, of being a young business. Our IT and technology stack and our connectivity was only put together 7 years ago. It was all based in the cloud. It was completely set up for a hub and spoke model in any case, albeit we thought that hub and spoke model would be a central data centre in the UK and contact centres spread across Europe. We've now got 3,000 contact centres in each individual's home across Europe. But the premise of it still worked the same. The ability for us to roll that model out into the work from home environment, we were able to do relatively easily. I know my IT guys would probably hang me for saying that, because of a lot of heavy lifting for them logistically, and getting kit out to our teams, etc. But comparatively to maybe some of the other BPOs who have got legacy systems, we were able to do it relatively elegantly and quickly. Our business has grown through the pandemic, by 100%. We've doubled the size of Ascensos, in the last 2 years, and a lot of that is supporting our existing client base, but a lot of new client wins as well, who have had to move very quickly to set up support for their online activity.
Am I right in summarising what you said earlier then around the Ascensos local model, setting up these hubs, is with a view that eventually it's going to be more of a split, but you really see that there needs to be this kind of central location to deliver the best results. We shouldn't all just rush to stay at home, but there's a halfway house. Is it more that it should?
Yeah, I mean, that's my view. I know there are alternative views out there. And whether it's hybrid working, it's pure play work from home or not. My own view is part of the secret sauce of Ascensos is the connection we've got with the communities that we operate in, and I don't really want to lose that. And I think it's incumbent on me and on our business anyway, or maybe any business, to invest in the communities that you operate within and put something back into that community. Yeah. So for me to have employees in Aberdeen or employees in Leeds that are nowhere near any of our offices just doesn't sit well with me. But it's quite easy for me to spin up a small local town centre office in those locations that we can, as I said, use for recruitment, use for onboarding, for training, retraining, for engagement, for team activities, and for one-to-ones and coaching with your manager. It works really, really well, and I'm probably giving some of our secrets away to others, who would want to do similar, but everyone's got their own take on it as to what the workplace of the future looks like. I definitely think there'll be some people who want to permanently work at home. There'll be some who have always wanted to come back to the office, and maybe some who have never left the office. But the hub model that we are creating, I think, has got a part to play in that mix.
I love it. I'm with you. I think we jettison the impact on the community and just the essence of working in a contact center, the vibe and the buzz. I mean, most people that have come on the podcast and have spoken about why they stayed in the industry after kind of falling into it by accident is because of the atmosphere. And I think we distance ourselves from that at our own peril as an industry. It's kind of, there can be a nice medium that still maintains that. Because I think about all the people that have joined. I love the concept that their homes are now contact centers. But you think about the people that have entered our industry for the first time and might not have experienced what real team spirit and camaraderie and the atmosphere that you can get in a really vibing center. How long are they going to stay doing the job?
Well, exactly. And as I said, even in Cape Town last week, you just see that firsthand, how important that is, that energy, that electricity that exists between teams and between colleagues who can collaborate, and generate ideas together. And it's still one of my, I've been in this industry for 25 years now or so, Martin. And one thing that's never changed is that we haven't yet broken the dynamic of people wanting a career in contact centres. There isn't anyone, I think, and I could be wrong, and maybe people will correct me, but I don't think anyone leaves school, leaves college, leaves university to say, I want to have a career in the BPO industry or in the contact centre business. You fall into it by chance or by default, or even mistakenly fall into it, or it's a means to an end, and then it blossoms into something different. But I think it's rather embarrassing. I think, after 25 years, we've done so much in our industry that we're still not creating careers for people, for young kids who want to see their career blossom in the contact centre space. Certainly not in this country. You go to Romania, Turkey, and South Africa, it may be a bit different because the job is held in a higher regard. But I think as an industry, and it's something I've spoken to the guys at the CCMA about, is we can't be satisfied with that. We can't be satisfied that people only join our industry almost as a second choice, or because they can't access their own career of choice. And I think collectively it's something we need to focus on, because there probably isn't any other industry in the UK that's the case. People want to work in engineering, they want to work in architecture, they want to work in hospitality. You never go into any school and they never say, I want to work in a contact centre. And I think someone, and I'm happy to get involved in that, but we need to address that at some point.
I'm right behind you. I'm evangelical about this. I love to hear that, because Part of the reason for putting the podcast together, to be honest with you, was around we miss a trick. And so when I read about we're losing entrants, like our front level, our specialists that are going to be on the phones, we're losing them even more so than we did in the past to retail, to restaurants, and we just don't do enough PR to say there isn't a better industry for being promoted quickly, for learning about customers, for learning if whatever the field is that you're passionate about, you can come in, do well on the phones for a very short period of time, and go into finance, go into training, go into planning, go into operational leadership, and progress really, really quickly. I probably drive our daughters insane, because I will say to them, it isn't boring. You know, you really want to understand. There's a guy, what's his name? He's just the youngest person to go on Dragon's Den, Stephen Bartlett, I think.
Oh yeah, I know what I mean. Yeah.
He said being on the phones taught him a lot about that he uses now as a CEO. And it's that like a one-off positive story about our industry in terms of the impact it can have. You know, it taught him resilience. It taught him really about developing strategies for customers when he knows that he spoke to hundreds you speak to hundreds by the end of the week, you've spoken to more customers than a lot of senior leaders will have done in years. You know, so I'm right behind you on that.
I mean, we don't market it well enough. You know, we absolutely do not. You know, and I've got my two oldest kids, my two sons. You know, both work in Ascensos, you know, and both graduates. Matthew was a graduate in economics and politics, Michael in geography. Matthew's now a digital transformation project manager for us, and Michael's an HR business partner. You know, so they've created careers doing not what they thought they would set out to do, and they love it. You know, and but I can imagine that anyone else in their university groups won't have said, I see my future and I've got an aspiration to work in contact centres. Absolutely no chance. You know, there isn't any university student who's got an aspiration to work in the contact centre industry, and we need to change that. I think it's, as I said, after 25 years, that situation hasn't improved, you know, in my experience, and we really need to do something about that. We need these jobs in our industry are well-paid jobs, you know, and you say can turbocharge your career. You know, not just in the vertical you operate in, but in many different skill sets. We need to do more about selling that.
And I think your point around community, I've worked in cities where you were known as a good employer because you were very, very much on the front foot, getting involved in local schools, local charities, doing things, utilising the energy and the power of the people in the contact center, and you were seen as a nice place to be and a good place to work. But it certainly didn't manifest. That doesn't spread like nationally in terms of like you say, a career of choice, and it really should. So
well, maybe we should do something about it. Maybe we get some like-minded people together and we do something about it, because you know there has to be a legacy for us, you know, in terms of how we not just improve our business and maybe improve the perception of contact centres within the market, but how we create a legacy for the future, you know, for careers, you know, for kids going forward, you know. And I would love, you know, for some like-minded people to get together and do something about that.
Well, maybe this is it. We've got recorded evidence. This could be the birth of something then.
Well, why not? Yeah, why not?
I would love to.
I don't think you'll find anyone out there who would disagree. You know. Correct.
You know, and I think it's that kind of careers fair mentality. I remember doing that again because we needed recruitment in this outsourcer I was working at, and we went to careers fairs, and it was the first sort of opportunity to say you can work in any one of these disciplines if you're numerically minded. Yes, you start on the phones, but you learn some real key skills there. And then you could be in finance. You could do this, you could do that. And I think that's the kind of thing that we need to think, how do we do that? And given the emphasis on emotional intelligence and empathy, and trying to treat frontline people more as professionals that they are, is definitely part of that as well. We kind of overlook what they do too often, I think, still, and that is terrible.
Yeah. And I was talking to someone this last week, that why BPO and outsourcing is exciting, because sometimes, again, even in the contact center space, there's two tiers of the in-house operations, are seen maybe to be a bit more prestigious, and then the outsourcing operations. But in outsourcing, I don't run a contact center. I mean, we run 24 different contact centers for 24 different clients, all with different objectives, all with different structures around them, all very bespoke in their design and the way that they're delivered. And that offers careers, because we don't just have, a kind of blinkered approach to how we do things. We've got to think about how we deliver differently for 24 different businesses' objectives. And that stimulates the creativity and stimulates talent, it stimulates, energy and excitement, and I think even within the contact center space, the outsourcing businesses and the BPO sector is a massively exciting space to operate within.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I remember telling team leaders that joined the outsourcer, you'll never be bored. I can guarantee you that.
That's for sure.
You'll never be bored. And obviously that was right. For you personally, how have you? Could you say that this period of the pandemic's changed you at all?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I was reflecting this with Dermot, our chairman, over a beer only recently. How it's affected everyone. In terms of how we operate, how we engage. How we behave as individuals. But yeah, certainly for me, I spend a lot more time with my family now, and my dog, and that's good, because I found a different way of working, a different work-life balance. Beforehand, I was shoulder to the wheel constantly, never 2 days in the same place, and always living out a bag in a hotel room, and shipped it past in the night with my wife and my kids and stuff, and now I spend a lot more time with my family, and I feel better as a result of that. I've no intention of going back to the way it was, of being on that hamster wheel constantly. I don't think there's a need for that. I think we've found another way of working now that's completely acceptable. You can still get the job done.
Yeah.
In our business, there's no sense of presenteeism exists. Maybe that did exist beforehand, but maybe it's in the UK work psyche to some extent, that the boss is there, you're there, and there's a presenteeism. Not any longer, because and they don't know what day I'm going to be in the office and what day I'm not going to be in.
Yeah.
And likewise, I've no idea what day the team are going to be in, but the job gets done because it's done on an outcome basis now rather than on a time basis. And surely that's a healthier place to be, that we can go for a walk when the sun's shining rather than getting home in the dark and then going for a walk in the evening. Surely that's a healthier place for us all to be, that you can have the dog sitting beside you during the day, and it takes the stress away. All that stuff is hugely important, and I've definitely, maybe others would say differently, but I feel as if I'm a better human being now as a result of what we've learned through the pandemic. Others may think differently.
I totally agree. I can remember being one of 5 managers, and we were in a call center, and it was a Thursday or Friday night, I think, and people were coming over going, is the director still here? Yeah, well, we're going to have to stay. We're going to have to stay then, aren't we? So
that's pretty sad, isn't it? That's not what it should be about. It should be about achieving the outcomes that the project or the task or the job is set out to do. So let's measure those things. Let's focus on those things rather than the number of minutes and hours that people put in.
How does that? One of the things I was thinking with that, because I'm again in complete agreement around our way of working is outdated in terms of pre-pandemic. It's Victorian-esque in terms of how we should work, whereas now it's thankfully been opened up to, like you say, it's about your output. How does that translate to frontline advisors, though?
Yeah, I mean that's a bit more difficult, isn't it? When to achieve outcomes for customers, you have to have planning around that. You have to have the structure around about service levels and opening hours and coverage, all of that science of how you run a contact center. And I like to separate the left and the right a little bit in the contact center, the science and the art of it. But there has to be a science that underpins it, in terms of the planning, the maths, the making sure you've got the right resources aligned to times of day and days of the week and weeks of the month, etc. So for customer-facing advisors, there has to be a sense of being logged on and ready at the right time, and able to meet the objectives of the job at that point. But again, they can still do that with a dog at their feet, and they can still do that, with their kettle and their cup of tea, rather than having to go to the vending machine, and still do it, with the sun streaming through their window rather than being in the middle of the contact center at some place. Or they can choose to do it one day in the office and one day at home. And we get this all the time. There's someone coming to look at the boiler. So can I have half an hour of my shift adjusted or shifted slightly so I can speak to the engineer that's going to see my boiler? Yes, that's pretty easy to do that. If you're in the contact center environment, then the individual has to take a half day or a day to do that, because they can't just work around the guy chapping the door and making their shift slide that little bit to accommodate that. So I think even for our customer-facing advisors who do have to follow a bit more of a regimented approach to their work, there still is far more flexibility, as a result of the way we work now compared to how we would have been working 2 or 3 years ago.
And what excites you about the future then, both for Ascensos and for yourself?
Well, in Ascensos, we're still on very much the front foot, about expanding our business, about making sure that we do truly build a world-class business. And I don't mean a world scale business. There's a distinct difference between world class and scale. But I want Ascensos to have the best reputation in the market and be the best at what we can do. I'm a big, as you know, Martin, I'm a big fan of football and sport, and I always think in terms of sporting analogies for things and football analogies, and great leaders are great football managers in my mind, the ones that get people motivated, to get teams organized. They can achieve maybe something that's greater than the sum total of its parts just through their leadership style and through their capabilities. I think there's an ability for a small or smaller business like Ascensos, to be world champions. I think that's achievable in the field of sport and in the field of business. It doesn't necessarily always have to be the biggest that wins. Whether that's Leicester City or it's anyone else. Who has aspirations of winning that silverware or winning that trophy. Ascensos can be that challenger to the champions. And that inspires me. It inspires me to lead teams, through that successful period, and that growth period. And I think, the for our industry, and hopefully then as a result of that for Ascensos, there's a huge opportunity for us to transform what we do, with through technology and through the application of autonomous CX going forward too. Our partnership in South Africa is with an autonomous CX specialist called Digital Tribe, based in Cape Town, and we are now looking to smash, their capability together with ours to get a really powerful combination of human and autonomous talent as we roll the business further out. So yeah, I'm hugely enthused about the future for our sector, and hopefully, that means if Ascensos can be a star player in our sector, then we can grow and be successful as well.
I was going to say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're basically saying like Ascensos are like Tottenham, just a great team.
Is that what I meant to say? Instead of Leicester City, I meant to say Tottenham.
Well, I know the problem is the moment I say it, I open myself up to abuse about Tottenham not winning a trophy for so many years. You want to win more trophies than Tottenham, but who do you support, by the way?
I grew up as a Celtic supporter, and
great result the other night then.
My first love is Celtic, and obviously being in Scotland, that comes with a lot of risk saying that, for from the other side when you have a bad day or an off day. Obviously, at the moment with our result on Wednesday evening, then yes, the Celtic, the green side of Glasgow is smiling. So Celtic was always my first love. I've got another love, a much lower league team called Albion Rovers, who are a tier 4 team in the Scottish pyramid, and I was a director and the chairman of Albion Rovers.
Really?
It was a privilege, to be on the board there and serve as chairman there as well. I no longer do it. When Ascensos kind of kicked on in 2014, 2015, I couldn't do both because it was pretty much a voluntary activity in these lower league clubs. But it was brilliant because it was in the town that I kind of had grown up in, and you just see a different life. How a small business, a truly small business, operates. A business with a turnover of £250,000 and a core fan base of 400 or 500 diehards. They do live on a day-to-day existence, but it's brilliant. They've been around since 1882. They've got an old stadium that was built, or opened on Christmas Day in 1919, and one of the oldest stadiums still standing in British football, and just remarkable how they still survive despite everything, despite the pandemic, despite a lack of success, despite not having a big fan base, and having to live on the edge every season. Really, they still survive, and they've got a real loyal core group of volunteers, supporters, and the people who run the club as well, are all remarkable individuals. So it's I love that. I love lower league football. I've got a real soft spot for grassroots football. I coached, a boys' club for 10, 12 years, and loved every minute of that. And a Saturday morning, going down there and putting the cones out and doing all the drills, and I was the treasurer of the club as well. It's the kind of thing that anything with football related, I'm happy to get involved in it. Anything football related, it's my absolute passion.
Yes, so absolutely the same. I think we've talked about it before. I coach my daughter's team, and it's just everything about putting the training plans together, the results, everything. But now you were a player, so when you were chairman, did you not kind of think about muscling yourself into the starting 11?
I'm way too old by that stage.
No, come on.
No, way too old by that stage, and no, never that at that level either. You kind of think when you're involved in football, you look at even these semi-pros that we had on the books, that I can do that. You can't. They're a completely different level to you're at. Even in a training session or a bounce match, you can see just the difference in touch and the difference in pace that they move at. And we're fooling ourselves, both you and I, fooling ourselves if you think you can actually compete with a pro or a semi-pro. It's a whole different league. But yeah, I still play 5-a-sides, and the odd 11-a-side game for charity. But play 5-a-sides every Monday evening in the business. I'm the oldest player by a stretch, I would think. I've got a lot of young guys in their 20s and 30s playing with us. Very competitive, but yeah, I like to put my foot in, and I like to think that I'll still be playing when I'm 60 as well, Martin. I have no plans to give up, despite the fact you get injuries much easier. It takes longer to recover from the injury. I like nothing better than looking forward to a Monday night, and getting the boots on and getting stuck in at the 5-a-sides.
Yeah, mine is Thursday night and Sundays. But so today I'm hobbling about, and Bev has often questioned how long are you going to keep playing, trying to play twice a week, and I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm like you. I've got to just keep going for as long as possible.
Yeah, it really does keep me going. When the football was suspended at some points during the lockdown, that was depressing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I really missed the football during that period. So hopefully we can keep playing and avoid any serious injuries. But it's hugely competitive, and the guys that play, just because I'm the boss, that doesn't stop them. In fact, I'm sure it encourages them even more.
We were playing an 11-a-side game the other day, and we were beating this team who they all turned up, and we were a mixed group of ages. They were all young, they were all really, early 20s, and I think they thought they were going to absolutely hammer us. And late in the second half, we were kind of 3-goal, 4-1. I think we were winning, and these two guys started in their same team, the opposition, started having an argument, and they said, "How are we losing to a team that's got that guy playing fullback?" And I looked around and I thought, "Wait a minute, they're talking about
you?" Yeah, it's brilliant, and you're probably like me. My head still thinks I can do it all, but my legs tell me I can't, and
I thought I was having a good game by that point.
Yeah, but isn't that brilliant? When the young guys think that, that, come on, surely we've got to beat this guy, and this guy's should have retired 20 years ago.
Oh, don't you love the banter though? I just love it. The kind of the good nature. I hope it's good. I'm sure it is for me anyway. But the good-natured abuse that you get, often a game will start and someone will be saying, "How old are you? You're about 60."
Yeah, I know.
Nearly.
Well, we've got a WhatsApp group that all of the guys that play, are part of, and just some of the banter, in that WhatsApp group is just fantastic, and I say that again, it keeps you grounded as well, and it's a leveler, isn't it, football, because no matter, what kind of day you've had, or no matter maybe what's in your head about the business, and about your plans, when you get onto the pitch, that's the only thing that matters at that point, and the only thing that I'm bothered about when we play five-a-sides is my performance at five-a-sides, and everything else is of secondary importance.
I completely, it's in the last few years, understanding what mindfulness is, and there's this monk it's on TikTok, and he says actually gamers really understand mindfulness because they're totally in the present when they're gaming. They're not thinking about the past or the future. And as a kind of overthinker, it hit me, that's football for me. For that 90 minutes or however long it is playing five-a-side, I'm not thinking about anything else other than, the process of playing it, and that's total mindfulness. So
yeah, exactly. You're in the moment, aren't you? What happens tomorrow is of no consequence really when you're playing football, and it's I know there'll be some people listening who football is of no interest to them, but they'll have their version of it. Everyone's completely got their passion, and it's been my passion since I was knee high, and I don't think it'll ever change, and let's make sure it doesn't.
And aren't you a ball playing centre half? Are you, or what's the position?
I was, a very much Iniesta midfielder type when I was younger.
Nice.
Box to box and midfielder, but I've gradually got further back. But yeah, it's still like to dictate the pace of the game, and get your foot on the ball and score the odd goal or two, albeit, again, I don't have that pace that sometimes you need any longer to be a striker. And the longer the game goes on, everyone says this to me, that the last 5 minutes of the game, they're all steering clear of me because I'm so tired at that point that I'm fouling everyone.
Loose challenges,
grappling, and loose challenges is a polite way to put it.
Who's your favourite player of all time?
My hero was always Kenny Dalglish, always, from a Celtic and a Scotland perspective, Dalglish was the finest Scottish player ever for me, and probably I know it'll be controversial for some of our friends south of the border, but I think Dalglish is the finest British player ever, never mind Scottish, and he was an iconic individual, at Celtic. He also went on to greater things at Liverpool, and had a much more stellar career at Liverpool. But as a kid growing up in the mid-70s, Dalglish as a Celtic player was just was a king, when the King Kenny started in Glasgow and not in Liverpool.
I love it. John, we could talk. I could carry on. We turn this into a football podcast.
I know that's the trouble, and I'd actually be more passionate about football than a BPO, but I have to find that balance.
Yeah, and my memory, I can remember passes that either I've made or watched on TV for 20 years ago, but I can't remember where I put my keys 5 minutes ago. So.
Yeah, I do remember the best ever goal I scored, and
tell me about it.
I frequently recount it. It was a typical drop volley, from 35 yards. It hits the stanchion in the back of the goals, and everyone just turns around about and say, you'd be as well going off now because you'll never repeat that.
Is it the kind of one where as soon as you hit it, you knew?
Oh yeah. As soon as you connect, it comes out of the sun almost. You connect with it, and it's just like bullet in there. No one's got a chance, and that probably you can never beat those moments. But now I get equally as excited about a good tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, we are very much kindred spirits. That's a great place to end. John Devlin, thanks very much for coming on. We'll definitely have to do it. And let's just completely talk about football the next time.
Yeah, and let's organise a game. I know we've suggested we should organise a game between our competing sides, but I'd love to do that.
Yeah, definitely. A home and away fixture like the old England v Scotland games.
Oh, the old Anglo Scottish games. Let's do that. Those were great, those pre-season games.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks very much for coming on again, mate.
All right, Martin. Thanks. See you later.